What if the very things we try to clean up, control, and forget are the exact things that shape who we are? What if silence held more power than noise, loss more meaning than gain? In a world obsessed with productivity, order, and visible success, Housekeeping by Marilynne Robinson rips open a quieter, more dangerous truth. That wholeness is not found in perfection, but in embracing the deep, chaotic, sacred mystery of existence itself. Today, we're not just reviewing a book. We are confronting the haunting truths of impermanence, memory, abandonment, and what it really means to belong, to others, to a place, and ultimately to ourselves. In this episode, we'll extract the core insights of housekeeping, insights so powerful they'll challenge how you think about identity, resilience, and mental clarity. And we're going a step further. Because at the end, you're getting a transformational knowledge check, a test to not just absorb these themes, but to sharpen your mental precision, to solidify the revelations, to train your mind to see through the fog. And yes, stay tuned for a massive bonus that connects this story of loss and longing to a framework you can use to master emotional complexity in real life. This isn't just another book breakdown. This is your gateway to profound self-mastery. Let's begin.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into some really evocative pieces from Marilynne Robinson's Housekeeping. These came from one of you, actually.
Yeah, it's a great selection. These excerpts, they really give you a concentrated look into Robinson's world, don't they? Raising some, well, pretty deep questions.
Absolutely. So our mission here is to pull out the key ideas from these passages. We're looking at family, loss, belonging, and what home really means in this context.
Right. It's like a focused dose of her prose and those recurring themes she explores so powerfully.
Exactly. Okay, let's really get into this.
So starting with a father's death, it's really something how the grandmother calls it a defection. That word choice.
It's powerful, isn't it? Defection. Like, he chose to leave. Again, it connects right back to his past.
And then her view of life, this journey to a set destination where everything lost is waiting.
Yeah, that plain house in ordinary light. It sounds almost peaceful, but there's a finality there, too.
But it's complex. Her hope. She thinks she'll see him again, maybe changed, but then she pulls back. That distrust of transfiguration.
Right. It's like she's saying, I hope, but I'm not holding my breath. Years of dealing with him, maybe. That weariness.
Definitely seems like it. And then, bam, she just pivots to widowhood.
So pragmatic, just becomes altogether as good a widow as she had been a wife. Just like that.
Yeah, that quiet resilience, adapting. It's quite remarkable.
Okay, so moving to the daughters. Molly, Helen, and Sylvie, right after their father's gone.
Mm-hmm. They draw really close to their mother.
You can just picture it, can't you? Crowded around her while she's mending, brushing Sylvie's hair. That intense closeness.
She notices it too, how it reminds her of when they were infants. It makes you wonder, what does that clinging mean for them right then? Security, fear?
Probably a bit of both. And the mother, she manages to create this comforting space despite, well, the text hints at some longing in her own marriage, right?
Absolutely. She makes the tender bread, the tart jelly, finds those moments of grace.
The roses turning into potpourri, these little domestic details, they build such a feeling.
And that seahorse pendant story.
Oh, yeah.
It fits right in. It seems to capture that longing perfectly. Even with a gift, her mind is on something else, something maybe unattainable.
Like maybe the closeness with her daughters, knowing it won't last forever either.
That's an interesting thought, yeah.
So things shift again when the mother leaves, and especially when Helen leaves Fingerbone. That initial perfect quiet after the father dies. It's different from the emptiness later.
It really is. The text points out those little routines they had, Sylvie's coffee, Helen's toast, tiny things, but they show that shared life, that stability.
Which makes Helen's return later feel so brief, almost like a secret visit with her own kids, the listener's connection.
Yeah, that Sunday morning, it feels quite tense, doesn't it?
And the detail about the graham crackers. Just trying to keep the peace between her daughters.
Such a small, relatable moment of parenting, right? Even in this strained situation.
So why doesn't the grandmother ask about Helen's life? Is it politeness or something else?
Could be either, couldn't it? Maybe she doesn't want to pry, or maybe she just can't quite face Helen's separate life. Hard to say for sure.
Let's talk about the house itself. Robinson's descriptions are so vivid.
Oh yeah, the sensory details. The light, for instance.
And that hallway door, always closed, blocked by that waterlogged green couch.
Right.
It feels symbolic, like parts of the house or their lives are just closed off.
And the ceramic mallards flying up the wall.
Right. Those quirky details, they make the place feel so specific, so lived in, almost eccentric.
They're not just decorations. They feel like part of the family history, somehow.
And then Helen's attempt, tying her kids to the porch railing with clothesline.
Wow. Yeah, that's a stark picture. Kind of desperate, maybe? Trying to impose safety.
Definitely feels precarious. Okay, so after Helen dies, but before Sylvie gets there, there's this period, the mourning scenes.
Yeah, it's a glimpse into how this community, Fingerbone, deals with grief. The elderly friends visiting.
The white cake and pinochle, and the stories they tell, like Eddie and the parrot in San Francisco. It's oddly normal, almost funny amidst the sadness.
It is, isn't it? Those slightly absurd stories weaving through the grief. Eddie's parrot tale. It's whimsical, but also kind of melancholic. Life's randomness.
And then you have the great aunts, Lily and Nona, so quiet, sticking to their routines.
And terrified of the weather. They seem completely out of step with Fingerbones, like wilder side.
Their rigidity, is it how they cope? By just holding on to routine?
Seems likely. And that winter is brutal. The snow is relentless. The fear the house might just collapse.
Sets up this feeling of real vulnerability, being at the mercy of nature.
But then, against that backdrop, you get this amazing scene on the frozen lake.
Oh, the skating. Such a burst of life. Community joy right in the middle of that harsh winter.
The details make it so real. The barrels for fires, using clothespins for mittens.
The dogs running wild.
Yeah. It's people finding warmth and connection together when things are tough. Resourceful.
And the sisters, Lucille and the narrator, just lost in the skating. The town lights in the distance as it gets dark. It's a beautiful moment of comfort.
It really is. Then, switching gears, the community's reaction to the girls being orphaned, the neighbors talking.
It feels very well-meaning, but maybe a bit clueless. Their concerns and advice.
Yeah, like they're following a script almost, projecting their own ideas onto the girl's situation, maybe not fully getting it.
Then Sylvie's letter arrives. Just like that. So simple, but it changes everything.
Her arrival is imminent, and Lily and Nona trying to place an ad to find her.
Because they disapprove of newspapers. It shows how closed off they are, trying to control things.
And they have mixed feelings about the obituary being so impressive.
Right, like loss makes someone grand in public memory, even if the reality was more complicated.
Which leads to the narrator's dream. Her grandmother entering another element. Not gone, just transformed.
Yeah, like shifting into water or air. It's a powerful image.
So Sylvie shows up, and the first thing the narrator notices is her palpable happiness.
Which is such a contrast to everything else going on in that house. What does that initial joy tell us about Sylvie?
Good question. And that image of her the next morning by the stove, still in her coat, eating oyster crackers.
She seems so temporary, like she hasn't quite landed.
And she's talking about the train ride, the details of the dining car, the silver vases. She notices the journey, not just the destination. Very different from, say, the great aunts.
And how she interacts with the dogs, throwing ice for them, that insouciant manner, that deft aim.
It suggests she's playful, maybe a bit unconventional, engages with the world differently.
Then she immediately goes back to the station, and Lucille says something like, "Did you forget your bags?"
Yeah. It's a tiny moment, but maybe it hints at Sylvie being a bit scattered or just having different priorities. A little foreshadowing, perhaps.
And the flood, a huge turning point, physically changes everything.
The sun comes out, people are in rowboats, and that elm tree falling. Slowly, unstoppably.
Such a dramatic image. Beauty and destruction all at once. Irreversible change.
And the aftermath. The quiet water reflecting the other trees, the lake groaning as it thaws. Robinson's descriptions are incredible.
So sensory. You can almost smell the flooded parlor, that weird mix of water and furniture and, I don't know, everything else.
Yeah, that smell becomes like a permanent marker of the event.
So after the flood, the narrator seems to get closer to Sylvie, right? But Lucille starts pulling away.
What's driving that split, do you think?
Well, there's the narrator's dream about being taken away, Sylvie versus some scary figure in black, and realizing how obvious loneliness is. Maybe she's choosing Sylvie's kind of loneliness.
That's deep. Choosing Sylvie's otherness, maybe.
Oh, wow.
And the description of that dark night, the lake sounds, feeling lost. It mirrors her inner state, doesn't it? Feeling unmoored.
Yeah. Then they go back to school, the junior high. They're seen as docile, just left alone.
Kind of separate from the normal school life.
And Lucille fakes being sick. Sylvie writes the note. That's Lucille making a move, right? Showing she wants out.
Definitely a sign of her wanting something different. And Sylvie moves into the grandmother's room with all that furniture the grandfather made.
With the faded paintings underneath, that idea of seeing hidden images, layers of the past right there in the furniture, memory surfacing.
Which connects to the narrator thinking about a general rescue. This big cosmic reunion where nobody stays lost.
Such a powerful human longing, isn't it? To undo loss. What does that say about her?
It shows her deep need for connection, for wholeness. And Sylvie just casually mentions Molly might be at a missionary hospital. Another kind of departure, another kind of finding a place.
And the narrator sees hints of this, like ascension in nature. Maybe loss isn't the end.
That hope keeps coming back. That memory itself might bridge the gap, bring reconciliation somehow.
Even amidst the darkness, like the descriptions of the woods and the mine shaft, that attractive terror.
Right, contrasted with the simple buttercups in the clearings. Beauty and danger, safety and fear, always side by side.
So the summer after the flood, that's when the gap between the sisters really widens.
Yeah. What sparks it?
They argue about their mother, their memories are different, Lucille's more sensible, maybe. The narrator's more emotional.
It shows how grief shapes memory differently for each person. And Lucille accuses the narrator of defending Sylvie.
But they both regret that comparison. They realize, deep down, Sylvie was ours. She was their strange guardian.
Different from their mother, but still theirs. And that quick memory of the mother, reading, gazing, hints she had her own inner world too.
Then Sylvie's parenting gets even more Sylvie-like. That fishing trip.
Oh, yeah. And the dog, Crip, just appearing and disappearing. There's a somber feeling around that.
Like the ordinary lake isn't so ordinary. It connects to something bigger, maybe darker, unknown forces.
And they share that death dream. But Sylvie is gentle with them afterwards.
A strange kind of intimacy, right? Connecting over this shared nightmare.
Then Lucille says she wants to leave, wants the narrator to come, and she throws that line out. This house is Sylvie's now.
Ugh, yeah. That's resentment talking. She wants stability, normalcy. She wants to improve herself.
And she does. She leaves for school. Without the narrator. That's a big break.
Then the meeting with Mr. French, the principal, their attitudes are totally different now. Lucille's got this new edge. The narrator's just quiet.
Going down separate roads. And at school, they're separated. The narrator feels uncomfortable, buries herself in schoolwork.
Getting more isolated, but also maybe stronger in her own way.
Perhaps. Meanwhile, Sylvie's wanderlust seems to be growing. Lucille comes back from a dance, decides to sleep downstairs.
You can feel the tension building. Things are about to break.
The narrator covers Sylvie with a quilt. That little chat about old times, a quiet moment before the storm.
Then Lucille is just gone, leaves abruptly. Sylvie suggests calling the sheriff, which seems so beside the point somehow.
Right. Totally out of sync with the emotional reality. And Sylvie starts talking about people living off the grid, in the hills, on islands, trying to lure a kid with marshmallows.
She's fascinated by people on the edges, maybe sees herself among them.
Then they go to the site of that fallen house. They bring that weird lunch.
And the narrator burns the marshmallows. It feels symbolic, doesn't it? Letting go, acknowledging impermanence.
Yeah, and her thoughts about loss. Like a salt-sown Carthage.
Yeah.
Absence changing the very landscape of your life.
And wanting a statue, not like Lot's wife who looked back in bitterness, but something different. A turning away that embraces what's next.
It's really deep stuff.
Oh.
And the descriptions of those abandoned houses in the mountains, stories of whole families vanishing in the snow.
Reinforces that fragility. Shelter isn't guaranteed. Connection isn't guaranteed.
The narrator imagines her own house collapsing, and she thinks it is better to have nothing.
Whoa. That's a profound level of acceptance. Detachment, maybe?
She feels unhoused, but she wants to be with the lost ones, even unseen. Her mother is like fading music. The ache of absence is so strong.
And Sylvie tells the story of the train derailment, that sudden darkness. She seems almost detached telling it.
Yeah. And then they're drifting in the boat. Sylvie's humming, just lost.
Physically and metaphorically adrift. No anchors.
Until they find shelter with that old Native American woman. Robinson describes her so carefully, and Sylvie looks at the lake, thinks about the deluge.
Like all the past is just submerged under the water. Layers and layers of loss and survival.
Then Lucille's final message. Unspoken, unheard, but clear. You don't have to stay with Sylvie. the final cut.
And the sheriff keeps showing up, awkward visits.
Yeah, he's so uncomfortable. Compared to how he is in the 4th of July parade, it shows how the community sees Sylvie as an anomaly, something unsettling.
And we're reminded Fingerbone isn't some quiet idol. There's violence, accidents, but also strong religious feeling.
It's a place of contrasts, which makes Sylvie's comparison to Noah building the ark so interesting.
Right, questioning what home and stability even mean. Maybe true refuge is something you build yourself, something portable even.
And her idea that you feel family most when they're gone, that woman with the 9 imaginary beds.
Wow. It speaks to how memory and love persist even when people are physically absent.
The whole community seems to acknowledge this underlying sorrow in families. Even the women worried about Sylvie taking the narrator on trains. There's care there, mixed with fear.
Then the reflection on loss itself. Biblical stories. Loss as the engine driving time forward. Memory as the feeling of that loss pulling you.
It's incredibly philosophical, this deep longing for reconciliation, for the lost to return, the hope that memory will fulfill itself.
Such a core human hope, isn't it?
Absolutely, which makes the ending so potent, trying to burn the house down.
But it's too damp, it doesn't fully catch. They burn sentimental things instead. A final, incomplete act of letting go.
And the newspaper report afterwards, so clinical, erratic behavior. Mentions the custody hearing, the mother's suicide, the official reductive version of their story.
The search for their bodies is called off, and the narrator is left with that memory of crossing the railroad bridge, that moment of intense feeling.
Yeah, like some profound truth was present, even if unspoken, unheard. It just hangs there at the end, sense of mystery.
So wrapping this up, these excerpts, they really do show the fluidity of home, don't they? How transient it can be.
Definitely. And the complexity of family bonds, especially facing loss, and just how powerful memory is in shaping us.
Robinson's writing, it's just incredible. Even in these pieces, you get such a strong sense of that world, those inner lives.
It really makes you think. And maybe for you, listening, it brings up questions too. How does your own idea of home or belonging connect with what we see here? What memories of loss, shape your own path?
Yeah, definitely food for thought. We really encourage you, if you haven't, to check out the whole novel, Housekeeping. It's an unforgettable experience. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
If you've made it this far, you already feel the shift. But knowing isn't enough. Because the harsh truth is this: those who don't learn how to influence are forgotten, invisible in rooms where decisions are made, passed over for opportunities they never knew existed. That ends now. Subscribe, not because it helps us, but because you owe it to your future self to surround your mind with tools that win hearts, build tribes, and change lives. Hit that like button like it owes you something. Drop your thoughts in the comments, make your presence known, and follow the links below to access tools, bonuses, and deeper dives we crafted just for those brave enough to lead. But before you go, there's one final challenge: the knowledge check. Not just to see what you remember, but to separate those who watch from those who master. Are you truly ready to influence any room you walk into? Then prove it. Scroll down, take the quiz, and step fully into the power most people never even realize they had. We'll see you on the other side.